Any more? Please raise your hand. Do you have any experience on it? Okay, somehow, okay. It will be much more interesting to you because we have focused experts on it. So please keep your questions if you have till the end of our session. And now let me introduce to you our first expert. It's my great pleasure to introduce Mr. Mark Runco. He is a director of the Global Institute of Creative Thinking, cognitive psychologist, and he's a leading creativity researcher whose empirical work focuses on idea generation and divergent thinking to help people and to help students fulfill their capacity for creativity. He has devised a battery of tests that measure creative potential and performance. It's my great pleasure to give the floor to you, but I have a provocative question to you. How we can measure the level of creativity of AI? Please, the floor is yours.
You'd like me to address that?
This is a provocative question.
I alluded yesterday to my position that AI is not creative. AI spits out things that are attributed with creativity, but in 100 years of research on human creativity, we found humans to do certain things when they're creative, and these things are lacking in AI and impossible for AI. So my own view is the AI does not use anything that justifies as a creative process, even though it occasionally puts out things which are original, effective, and then attributed with creativity. So a difference of product and process. I realize I hold a kind of a strong position in that regard,
but anyway, thank you for your understanding and this position. It's very important.
Yeah, it's an interesting debate. Yeah.
I know.
Turning to the topic at hand, I only need a couple of minutes here. I am a director and a fellow with the Global Institute of Creative Thinking. And I'm thrilled to be connected with the Institute because its efforts are so practical. And I have done research on creativity since I was an undergraduate, over 40 years now. And it's too rare for there to be a connection between research and practice. And obviously there are exceptions to that, but the Global Institute is really making an effort in many ways, and much of that's evidenced just in the two-day event, but it's also evident in the support for the program that Tatiana will be outlining, and the work therefore with the Institute and OECD and UNESCO and the collaboration. Tatiana will be talking about a program for teachers, and as was the case yesterday, I'm doing some landscaping, and maybe I'm going to have a nickname, landscaper, given yesterday and today. I'm talking about context, and really for those difficulties and put them into the context of psychometrics and cognitive psychology and creativity assessment. Very briefly, setting the stage for Tatiana to dive in. The big problem with creativity in the classroom is the connection between creativity and originality. And creativity almost always involves originality. I'm very tempted to say it always does, but I know there are cultural discussions of what's the most important part of creativity. And there are arguments that in certain cultures, originality is not all important and a prerequisite. So I am aware of that discussion in Western culture, and even when other things are brought in outside of Western culture, like aesthetics and authenticity, originality is still important. And that's relevant because when you define originality, you're probably looking at novelty, unconventional ideas and behaviors, things that are rare. And indeed, that was one of the big pushes moving creativity research into the scientific realm, that was finding a way to be objective about originality. People like Guilford realized, okay, originality might be in a kind of an aesthetic thing, but he also proposed that we could be objective about it, looking at rarity, statistical rarity. And I have done tens of thousands of tests of divergent thinking. I enjoy doing it. I love going into the classroom and working with kids with it. And it's pretty easy to use Guilford's idea of originality in an objective sense. And I work with a group of kids, and there'll be 30 of them. And I'll give them easy questions, which I call games. And they might be simple, like name all the strong things you can think of. And I encourage them to think of as many things as they can, and encourage them to think of things that their friends will not think of. And as soon as you make that connection, boy, do they have fun. But it's pretty darn obvious. You name a strong thing, and you're going to have, out of the 30 students, 20 of them say Superman. 2 will say super glue. And it's easy to see when ideas are rare, and that's an objective way to get at originality. Now think about the regular curriculum, where you have, again, perhaps 30 students and a curriculum and one teacher, maybe 2, or an aide. So you have a group of students and one teacher. The teacher is attempting to keep the class moving along the curriculum, so to speak. That is keeping a group move along that curriculum. And I realize these are rough terms, but where does originality fit? Because I'm talking about originality as displayed by 1 or 2 or very few students. How do you appreciate what 1 or 2 or very few students do in a group when you're moving the group in along the direction of a curriculum? There's this contradiction between uniqueness and individuality, and then the typical educational format when there is a group. Originality by definition, because it's tied to rarity, is difficult in group settings, and most education involves a group setting. So there's an inherent challenge. I'll just make one other point, because I really want to turn this over to Tatiana, and that is that I'm looking at originality as largely a cognitive thing, the production of ideas. And I said that a student may produce an idea that's rare, and we can call it original, but creativity is a complex or a syndrome. Things like personality, attitude, emotionality, these things all play a role in that. And as a matter of fact, again, citing decades of research on creativity, there are certain personality tendencies or traits that do not guarantee creativity but support it. Open-mindedness or openness to experience is by far number 1, meta-analyses and so on. But for our purposes, numbers 2, 3, and 4 are very important. And I'm referring to independence and autonomy, and I'll just stick with those things. Creative people have a tendency to autonomy. And they're independent, which you can easily tie to what I said about originality. If you're autonomous, it's easier to think about things that are unconventional and therefore original. But the point is simply that there are personality traits that are conducive to creativity that we see in many creative people, and those traits are not easy in a classroom. Independence, does that sound like an easy thing when you're working with a group? It's not. And so if I really wanted to support creativity, I'd want originality. Oh, but that means that one child stands out from the group. And I'd like independence. Okay, that child is doing something that's independent of the curriculum and unrelated to what everybody else is doing. The point is simply that creativity is difficult in the classroom. And there are many points. These are just 2 examples from divergent thinking and personality. There is a need for support and programs and teacher training to find ways to optimize, to best support creativity in the classroom. And Tatiana has some practical ideas along this line. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mark, for your position, for your, deep understanding of this process. It's really very important to provide support for teachers for developing of creative thinking. So, and I hope we will have more time to discuss with the audience the tools and the resources you have, how to support teachers on it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And now it's my pleasure to invite Ms. Tatiana Murovana, who is a program specialist at the UNESCO Institute for Information Technologies in Education. And she's focusing on integration of technologies in education and enhancement of learning outcomes with the help of ICT and AI. Tatiana, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, dear Natalia, but I just realized that I can't see my presentation. Sorry for that. No slides, just my voice. And the second thing, I just realized that my short presentation is not about experience. It's not about research. It's like a teaser to keep you in the next year on the 8th Creativity in Education Summit, when we will be able to share our experience. And now I just present our joint plans, joint project of UNESCO Institute for Information Technologies and Education and Global Institute of Creative Thinking. We've been working more than 1 year together within the joint project to co-organize Creativity in Education Summit, other CES-related events to establish and co-launch Creativity in Education Summit network. But our future plans are dealing with joint framework on micro course for teachers on creativity. This is that difficult in classrooms, and creativity is very difficult in teacher professional education. But we will try to develop a micro course and a micro credential system to train teachers on creativity and beyond. Through these future micro courses and micro credentials, UNESCO IITE and GOCT aim to provide teachers worldwide with a flexible, accessible, and we hope internationally recognized professional development pathways to embed creativity and innovation as core educational competencies, to integrate artificial intelligence and other digital tools into teaching responsibly and effectively, and to provide teachers with verifiable, stackable credentials to support their career progression, and to encourage culturally responsive and inclusive approach to education, with cultural differences and cultural sensitivity of the creative thinking development activities and endeavors are very important, and we will pay attention to this aspect. It is expected that GOCT contributes their expertise in creative pedagogy and case studies, while we, UNESCO IITE, provide technical standards, our ICT expertise, and international endorsement. The future capacity building courses and promotional activities will unfold within the following core thematic areas. First, it's AI-enhanced creative pedagogy. It's rather close, but still different things. Yes, being creative educators and develop creativity thinking, learners' creativity thinking and students' creative potential. So our first thematic area will be about creative pedagogy and how to use AI tools to be creative teacher. The second thematic area is creative assessment beyond traditional testing. The next one is about system thinking in the 21st century problem solving. So system thinking and problem solving. And the last one is culturally responsive creativity education. We are expecting to establish a global teacher training community, which is linked to the CES network we launched yesterday. We hope to reach about 10,000 students by the end of 2027. We hope so. And we expect to set a global benchmark for short, creativity-focused teacher training, teacher professional training, and to provide scalable and low-cost solutions for ministries of education and teacher training institutions in this field. And finally, I would like to say that our joint initiative is not merely a training program, but we hope that it will be the strategic transformation of how the global education community prepares teachers for creativity and innovation. And we hope that combination of UNESCO IITE, technical experience and perhaps a kind of authority with the GeoCities creative leadership, these micro courses and micro credential will empower teachers to turn inspirations into action, theory into practice, and individual learning into kind of systematic change. Thank you very much. It was a teaser, so we'll see next year to see how we will deal with it and what we could achieve. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tatiana, for sharing with us such exciting plans for the future. And let me ask you, where we can find these resources in the future? Should it be uploaded to some